My stepdad framed me for theft to get me kicked out. 10 years later, he confessed drunk. She missed my entire life believing I was a criminal. Now she wants back in. It takes a lifetime to build a reputation and about 5 minutes to destroy it, especially when the person destroying it has the home field advantage. My name is Leo Bennett. I'm 27 years old. For the last 12 years, the woman who gave birth to me has believed I am a thief, a liar, a criminal who stole from the man she loved. She was wrong, but being right doesn't give me back the 12 years she threw away. And it doesn't give me back the mother I lost long before I was kicked out of her house. My parents, Mark and Diane, divorced when I was 10. It was a classic case of irreconcilable differences. My dad, Mark Bennett, was a civil engineer. He was quiet, steady, and practical. He wore plaid shirts and drove a truck that was 10 years old because it still runs fine. He was the kind of man who fixed things himself. My mother, Diane, wanted more. She wanted excitement. She wanted status. She felt stifled by Dad's practicality. She wanted to be part of the in crowd at the country club, even if we couldn't really afford it. So they split. Dad moved into a modest condo across town, and Mom kept the big house in the suburbs. When I was 13, Mom met Frank Miller. Frank was slick. That's the only word for him. He was a pharmaceutical sales rep who always had a firm handshake, a tan that looked a little too orange, and a smile that didn't quite reach his eyes. He drove a leased Mercedes. He wore Italian loafers. He was everything my dad wasn't: loud, flashy, and performative. He moved in 6 months later, and he brought his baggage with him, his twins, Kyle and Jenna. Kyle and Jenna were 14, a year older than me. They were Frank's golden children. They played lacrosse. They were popular. They were loud. And they looked at me like I was a stain on the carpet they couldn't scrub out. From the moment Frank Miller stepped into our house, the dynamic shifted. It wasn't my house anymore. It was Frank's domain. The first sign that I was being pushed out was the room reassignment. Our house had 4 bedrooms upstairs. The master, Mom and Frank, 2 large guest rooms with en-suite bathrooms, and a small room at the end of the hall that used to be a sewing room. It was tiny, maybe 8 by 10 feet. It had a single, small window that looked out onto the neighbor's brick wall. Before Frank moved in, I had one of the large guest rooms. It was my room. I had my posters, my computer, my life in there. A week before the wedding, Frank sat me down at the kitchen table. Mom was there, chopping vegetables, not looking at me. "Leo, buddy," Frank said, flashing that salesman smile. "We need to talk logistics. When Kyle and Jenna move in, we need to make sure everyone is comfortable." "Okay," I said, feeling a knot in my stomach. "See, Kyle and Jenna are going to be here full time." Frank lied. They actually spent weekends with their mom, but Frank ignored that detail. "And since you split your time between here and your dad's, it doesn't really make sense for you to tie up one of the big suites, does it? It's wasted space for half the month." "So," I asked. "So, we're going to move you into the study," he said. He meant the sewing room. "That room is a closet," I said. "It barely fits a twin bed." "It's cozy." Frank laughed, slapping the table. "Besides, you're a minimalist, right? Like your dad. You don't need much. Kyle has his drum set, and Jenna has her fashion design stuff. They need the square footage." I looked at my mother. "Mom, are you serious?" Mom stopped chopping. She wiped her hands on a towel. She looked pained, but she looked at Frank, not me. "It makes sense, Leo," she said, her voice tight. "Frank is right. You're only here 50% of the time. We have to be fair to the children who live here. The children who live here. As if I was a visitor. As if I was a guest in the house I grew up in." I was moved into the box room. Call out my old room. He tore down my posters and painted the walls a dark navy blue. Jenna got the other suite. I spent the next 2 years living in a shoebox, listening to Kyle playing drums through the thin walls, while my mother played Happy Family with her new husband and his kids. Frank didn't like me. I knew it. He knew it. I was quiet. I was observant. I saw through him. I saw how he spent money we didn't have. I saw him taking calls in the driveway, lowering his voice when I walked by. I saw him drinking a little too much scotch on Tuesday nights. He knew I didn't buy his act. To Kyle and Jenna, he was super dad. To my mother, he was Prince Charming. To me, he was a fraud. And because I was the only witness to his mediocrity, he wanted me gone. But the nuclear option, the final severance, happened when I was 15. Frank had a vintage gold Rolex Submariner. It was his prized possession. He claimed it was worth $20,000. He loved to show it off. He'd wear it to dinner parties, rolling up his sleeve so people would notice the glint of gold. An heirloom, he'd brag. Going to pass this down to Kyle one day. He kept it in a velvet box on his dresser. The setup started a week before the incident. Frank started planting seeds. Has anyone been in our bedroom? Frank asked one night at dinner. No, Mom said. Why? Things just feel moved, Frank said, narrowing his eyes at me. My change jar looks light. My cufflinks were on the wrong side of the dresser. I haven't been in your room, I said, not looking up from my burger. I didn't say it was you, Leo, Frank said, holding his hands up defensively. Defensive much? Mom looked at me with suspicion. Leo, are you going in there? No, I said. I have no reason to go in there. Just stay out, Frank warned. Then came the Tuesday. I came home from school. The house was empty. I went to my tiny room, threw my backpack on the floor, and put on my headphones. An hour later, Mom and Frank came home. I heard the front door slam. I heard Frank shouting. It's gone. I knew it. My door burst open. Frank stood there, his face red, his tie loosened. Mom was behind him, looking terrified. Where is it? Frank roared. Where is what? I took my headphones off. My watch, Frank yelled. The Rolex. I left it on the dresser this morning because the band was pinching. I come home and it's gone. And the maid doesn't come until Thursday. He walked into my room. It was so small he practically filled it. I didn't touch your watch, I said, standing up. I haven't left my room since I got home. Liar, Frank spat. Diane, look at him. Look his face. He's guilty as hell. He's been jealous of Kyle. He's been jealous of my success. He took it upon it. Or just to spite me. Frank, maybe you misplaced it, Mom said, her voice trembling. I don't misplace gold, Diane, he shouted at her. Check his drawers. Mom, don't, I said. I didn't take it. If you didn't take it, you have nothing to hide, Frank said. Check the drawers, Diane, or I'm calling the police right now and having him arrested. My mother flinched at the word police. She cared more about the neighbors seeing a squad car than she did about my dignity. She walked over to my dresser. She opened the top drawer. Nothing but t-shirts. She opened the second drawer. Underwear. She opened the bottom drawer. My socks. She reached into the back, where I kept my thick winter wool socks. Socks I hadn't touched in months because it was June. She pulled out a bundle of gray wool. She unrolled it. The gold Rolex tumbled out onto the carpet. The silence was deafening. My stomach dropped. I felt like the floor had vanished. Leo, my mother whispered. She looked at the watch, then at me. Her face went pale. The look in her eyes wasn't just anger, it was disgust. I didn't put that there, I said. My voice sounded small, pathetic. Mom, I swear. I swear on my life. I didn't touch it. It was in your socks. Frank yelled, snatching the watch from the floor. Caught red-handed. You little thief. You ungrateful little parasite. I'll let you live in my house, eat my food, and you steal from me. I didn't do it. I was screaming now. He planted it. Mom, think about it. Why would I steal it and hide it in the first place you'd look? He put it there. Frank laughed. A cruel, barking sound. Oh, listen to him. Now, I'm a criminal? I framed you. Why would I do that, Leo? Why would I risk my $20,000 watch? Because you hate me, I yelled. Because you want my room for Kyle. That is enough, my mother shouted. We both looked at her. She was shaking. She looked at me, and her expression hardened into stone. Pack your bags, she said. Mom, I will not have a thief in this house, she said, and I will not have a liar who tries to blame his stepfather for his own crimes. You have disrespected this family for the last time. Mom, please, I begged. Just look at him. He's smirking. Can't you see it? Frank is the victim here, she screamed. Get your things. Call your father. You're leaving. Tonight. And don't you dare ask to come back until you can admit what you did and apologize. I looked at her, really looked at her. And in that moment, something inside me snapped. It wasn't a loud snap. It was the quiet sound of a tether being cut. Okay, I said. My voice was suddenly calm. Cold. I packed my duffel bag. I took my computer. I left the posters on the wall. I walked past Frank in the hallway. He was leaning against the doorframe, polishing the watch face with his shirt. He winked at me. I walked downstairs. My mother was standing by the front door, her arms crossed, tears streaming down her face. Tears of self-pity, not sorrow for me. Leo, she started, if you just confess. I walked past her. I opened the door. Goodbye, Diane, I said. She froze. Excuse me. I said goodbye, Diane. I repeated, because a mother knows her son. A mother protects her son. You are my mother. You're just Frank Miller's wife. So I have no reason to call you mom anymore. I walked out. I sat on the curb. My dad, Mark Bennett, pulled up 20 minutes later. He saw me with my bags. He saw Frank watching from the window. Dad got out of the truck. He looked furious, but he didn't storm the house. He knew that would just give them more ammunition. He helped me throw my bags in the bed of the truck. I didn't do it, Dad, I whispered. Dad looked at me. He put his large, rough hand on the back of my neck. I know you didn't, Leo, he said firmly. I know you. You're not stupid, and you're not a thief. We don't need them. We'll figure this out. I moved in with Dad full-time. But the nightmare didn't end there. It followed me to school. Kyle and Jenna, my step-siblings, went to the same high school as me, and they had big mouths. The very next day, I walked into school. I could feel the eyes on me. People were whispering. Kyle was in the hallway, holding court with the lacrosse team. He saw me and loudly tapped his wrist, pretending to check a watch that wasn't there. Hide your wallets, boys, Kyle shouted, laughing. The Sticky Fingers Bandit is here. The whole hallway laughed. Jenna was worse. She told the girls in her clique that I had stolen family heirlooms to buy drugs. It wasn't true, but truth doesn't matter in high school. Humors do. I went to my locker. Someone had written thief on it in red Sharpie. By third period, I was called to the principal's office. Principal Henderson was a stern man who played golf with Frank. He sat behind his desk, looking at me with deep disappointment. Leo, he said, we've been hearing disturbing reports. They're rumors, I said. Kyle is lying. We have concerns about your character, Henderson said. This is a zero-tolerance school for theft. While the incident happened off campus, the disruption it's causing here is significant. We need to know if you're going to be a liability. I didn't steal anything, I shouted. Lower your voice, Henderson snapped. Your mother called me this morning. She told me everything. She said she's very concerned about your behavior and wanted us to keep an eye on you. My own mother called the school to warn them about me. She didn't just kick me out, she nuked my reputation. I walked out of the office. I called my dad. Dad, I can't stay here, I said, crying in the parking lot. Everyone hates me. Even the principal thinks I'm a criminal because Mom called him. Dad picked me up 20 minutes later. He didn't say a word. He drove straight to the district office. We're transferring, Dad said. But the other schools are far, I said. I don't care, Dad said. I'll drive you. We're going 2 districts over. Somewhere where nobody knows Frank Miller. Somewhere where you can just be Leo Bennett. For the rest of high school, my dad woke up at 5:30 a.m. every single day to drive me 45 minutes to a school in the next county. He never complained. He never asked for gas money. He just drove, drank his coffee, and let me sleep in the passenger seat. He saved my life. Back at home, I tried to reach out to my mother. I was 15. I was hurting. I still wanted my mom. A week after the move, I tried to call her. I wanted to tell her I missed her. It went straight to voicemail. I tried again the next day. Voicemail. I sent a text. Mom, please call me. I miss you. I didn't do it. The message didn't deliver. I tried calling from my dad's landline. She picked up. Hello. Mom. The line went dead. She hung up. I realized she had blocked my number. She had blocked her own son because her husband told her to. The only communication we received was a check in the mail every month. It was addressed to my father. Child support. It was the bare minimum legal obligation. No note, no card, just a cold, printed check from her joint account with Frank. She didn't miss a payment, but she missed my life. Those first few months at Dad's were the hardest. I had a real room again, but I couldn't sleep. I would lie awake at 2 a.m., staring at the ceiling, tears leaking into my ears. I cried until my throat burned. I missed her. I missed the mom she used to be before Frank. I wanted her to burst through the door and say it was all a mistake. But she never came. Those nights, they changed me. After the third month of silence, the tears stopped. The sadness calcified into something harder, something protective. I vowed to myself, lying in the dark, if the person I love the most in the world doesn't trust me, then I don't need anyone's approval. If she can throw me away, I will never beg for anyone to keep me. I hardened my heart. I accepted my fate. I stopped trying to call. I stopped checking the mail for cards that never came. The years went by. She missed everything. My 16th birthday, my driver's license, my high school graduation. Dad sat in the front row, cheering so loud he embarrassed me. Her seat was empty. Meanwhile, I heard through the grapevine that Frank's kids were living the high life. Kyle crashed the Mercedes 3 times. Frank paid for it. Jenna dropped out of college to become an influencer. Diane supported them. They got the home office that used to be my bedroom. There was one moment when I was 19 that sealed the coffin. I was home from college for winter break. I went to Target to buy some toiletries. I turned into the detergent aisle, and there they were. Diane, Frank, Jenna. They were pushing a cart full of housewares. They looked like a happy family. They were laughing about something Jenna said. I froze for a second. My heart hammered against my ribs. Then Diane saw me. Her smile vanished. Her face went blank. She didn't look angry anymore. She just looked indifferent. It was the look you give a stranger who cuts you off in traffic. A look of mild annoyance. She didn't wave. She didn't say my name. She just turned back to the shelf as if I wasn't there, as if I was a ghost. Frank saw me and smirked. He put his arm around Diane, claiming her. In that moment, I had a choice. I could run, I could cry, or I could be the man my father raised. I didn't flinch. I grabbed the handle of my basket. I walked straight down the aisle, directly toward them. I didn't veer. I walked right down the center. Frank had to pull his cart out of the way to avoid hitting me. I walked past them without looking at them. I didn't acknowledge their existence. To me, they were just obstacles in the aisle. I felt their eyes on my back as I walked away. But I didn't turn around. That was the day Diane Miller truly died to me. I built a life without her. I became a structural engineer. I met Sarah. Sarah is incredible. She's a pediatrician. She's kind, smart, and fiercely loyal. When I told her the story about the watch, she didn't doubt me for a second. Your mother is an idiot, Sarah said, and Frank is a sociopath. We got engaged last year. We didn't invite Diane. Why would I invite a stranger to my wedding? Fast forward to 2 weeks ago. I'm 27. It was a Tuesday night. I was at my apartment, cooking dinner with Sarah. We were laughing, drinking wine, listening to jazz. My phone rang. I looked at the caller ID. Diane Miller. I stared at the screen. She hadn't called me in 3 years. Who is it? Sarah asked. It's Diane, I said. Don't answer it, Sarah said. But curiosity is a powerful thing. I wanted to know what she wanted. Did she want money? Was Frank sick? I answered. This is Leo. Lao. Her voice was wrecked. It was wet, ragged, broken. She sounded like she had been crying for days. What do you want, Diane? I asked, keeping my voice flat. Leo, please, don't call me that, she sobbed. I'm your mother. You lost that title 12 years ago, I said. Why are you calling? It's Frank, she said. Did he die? I asked. I felt zero emotion at the prospect. Actually, that's a lie. I felt a glimmer of hope. No, she said. Oh God, Leo. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. If you're calling to ask me to apologize again, I'm hanging up. No, she screamed. No, you were right. You were right about everything. I went still. Sarah stopped chopping vegetables and looked at me. What are you talking about? She took a deep breath, fighting through hiccups. Frank has been drinking, she said. He's been drinking a lot lately. He lost his job last month. They fired him for falsifying expense reports. He's been spiraling. Karma. It took a while, but it arrived. Last night, she continued, he came home wasted. He was stumbling, nasty. He was ranting about how ungrateful everyone is. He started talking about the house, about how he fixed our lives. She paused. I could hear her breathing hitch. He started laughing, Leo. A horrible, drunk laugh. He said, remember when I got rid of that little rat, Leo? Best move I ever made. Cleared out the spare room for Kyle. Easy peasy. My blood ran cold. I asked him what he meant, Mom continued. And he told me. He bragged about it. He told me he planted the watch. He said he waited until I was in the shower, put in your socks, and then staged the whole panic. He said the kid was too smart. He looked at me like I was garbage. I had to take him out. I closed my eyes. I leaned against the counter. 12 years. 12 years of being the villain in her story. 12 years of being the thief. And it took a bottle of cheap whiskey for the truth to come out. And then I asked. He passed out on the couch, she said. This morning, when he woke up, he didn't remember saying it. He tried to act normal. He asked for coffee. But I knew. I looked at him and I saw a monster. I kicked him out, Leo. I changed the locks. I filed for divorce this morning. He's gone. Okay, I said. Leo, please, she cried. Can I come see you? I want to fix this. I want to make it up to you. I miss so much. I was so stupid. I was blinded by him. Please, let me come over. I want to meet your fiancé. I want to be your mom again. I looked around my apartment. I looked at the life I built from the ashes of her rejection. I looked at Sarah, who was watching me with concern. I thought about the 15-year-old boy sitting on the curb with trash bags, watching his mother stand in the doorway, her arms crossed, choosing a liar over her own flesh and blood. I thought about the hallway at school, hearing Kyle laugh about the sticky fingers bandit. I thought about my dad driving 45 minutes every morning to save my future. I thought about the indifference in her eyes at Target. No, Diane, I said. What? She gasped. But I know the truth now. I believe you. He confessed. That's the problem, I said. My voice was steady, but it felt like shards of glass in my throat. You believe me now. You believe me because Frank confessed. You didn't believe me when I was your son looking you in the eye, begging you to trust me. I was manipulated, she pleaded. He's a sociopath. He is, I agreed. But you were the judge, Diane. You were the one who banished me. You didn't just take a side. You actively punished me. You called the school. You destroyed my reputation. You stripped me of my home. I am sorry. I'll spend the rest of my life making it up to you. You can't, I said. You can't get those 12 years back. Dad didn't need a confession. Dad picked me up that day, looked me in the eye, and said, I know you didn't do it. Because he knew me. You didn't know me. You just knew Frank. Leo, I have nobody, she wept. Frank is gone. Kyle and Jenna won't talk to me because I kicked their dad out. I'm all alone in this big house. I was alone too, I said, when you kicked me out. But I figured it out. You will too. Please, son. Don't call me that, I said. My mother died the day she found a watch in a sock drawer and decided her son was a criminal. I don't know who you are, but you're not her. I hung up the phone. I blocked the number. She has been trying to reach me through other means. Emails, Facebook messages. She sent a check to my dad's house for $10,000 with a note that said, for the birthdays I missed. I went to my dad's house. We stood in the kitchen where I actually grew up. I held the check. Do you want to cash it? Dad asked. You could use it for the wedding. No, I said. It's blood money. It's a bribe to ease her conscience. I tore the check into tiny pieces and threw it in the trash. I don't hate her. Hate requires energy. I just feel nothing. The part of me that needed her approval, the part of me that wanted my mommy, starved to death a long time ago. She finally knows the truth. But the truth didn't set us free. It just showed us that the cage was locked from the inside all along. And she's the one holding the key to an empty room. Have you ever been falsely accused by a family member? Do you think Leo is right to keep his mother out of his life? Or should he accept her apology now that she knows the truth? If you believe that trust is the foundation of family, and once it's gone, hit that like button and subscribe. Hashtag false accusation.